All right. So we're having another conversation video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Two,
Why?
well, Yoko Yoko and one of my students,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a couple other people,
Mm-hmm.
told us that they liked this video type the most.
Like what kind of video?
So we had one video about women in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
which my student said was about marriage. And then we had another video about overwork culture,
Mm-hmm.
which is like zangyo, service zangyo.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my student what type of video would you like to see, and he said he'd like us to talk about education in Japan
Mm-hmm.
compared to Canada
Mm-hmm.
or the Western world, I suppose. Yeah. So let's start with education.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any opinions about educational differences in between Japan and
Well,
Canada?
first, can you explain Canadian education system?
From the beginning?
Sure.
Okay. So kids go to school, like let's say elementary school,
Mm-hmm.
because the school levels are elementary school,
Mm.
junior high school,
Mm-hmm.
high school, university.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In elementary school
Mm-hmm.
and junior high school and high school, we start school at about 9 or 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
Is that the same as Japan?
I don't remember what time the school starts in elementary school. Or yeah, I
How
have
about
no
high school?
idea.
What time do you start
I
in high
think
school?
I think we start at 8:40.
Okay, so you start earlier. And then
I think.
after that we do like 3 classes, I think, until noon, or 2 classes until noon. And then we
Really?
have a 1 hour lunch.
I think we have in Japan we have 4 lessons in the morning and lunch.
Okay, and then after that, so by the way, my information
Mm.
is from like 20 years ago.
My
So
information is from about 20 years ago
so
too.
it's possible that Canada is not like this now.
Yeah,
It's possible that Japan is not like this now either, right?
right.
So when we were students,
Mm-hmm.
but I think in Canada it's still the same. I don't know though.
Yeah, but like I wanted to ask you what kind of things you learn. Like
Well,
starting time doesn't really matter.
well, I want to talk about like the intensity first,
Okay.
and then we can do the topic, because after lunch we have a 1 hour lunch, and then after that we go home at 3:30.
I think in elementary school it's similar,
3:30 you go home.
something like that.
In junior high school and high school we also went home at 3:30.
I think in junior high school we finish at 3 or 4 around, but a lot of students have club activities after that.
Yeah, no, most people didn't, and we don't have juku, like cram school,
Mm-mm.
which is juku.
No one goes to cram school.
Yeah, no one.
No one.
No one. Everybody, like, from 3:30, that's friend time. And when I was in elementary school and junior high school and high school, every day after 3:30, hang out with friends. Like go play basketball or just go to friends' houses, or just that was like time to spend with friends.
Even high school students?
Yeah, even high school students.
So, some, I guess school tests are difficult, like very difficult in high school, because like a lot in Japan, a lot of students go to cram schools for like university entrance tests, right?
Yeah, so we don't have university entrance tests.
No,
There's no university entrance test.
like so basically, if you want, you can go to the university.
When I was a high school student, the university looked at your last or your high school grades. So when you it's I think they call it the transcript, your high school transcript, and that's like all of your grades from your
Mhm.
high school classes. The university looks at that to see what kind of student you are.
And the university decides if you can
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to the university.
But also like a lot of people go to university. It's really easy to get in. So first year, we're jumping a lot here. First year university courses have a lot of students in them, but a lot of them fail because it's difficult. And then second year university courses don't have so many students in them, right? and then third year even less, and then fourth year less. So when I studied computer science, and in my first year, we were in an auditorium, which was a huge room with a stage and like many rows of chairs. And I couldn't see my professor. He was using a mic with a projector and big speakers and lots of people, like maybe
how many?
like 700.
700?
Yeah, it was a huge auditorium, and a lot of people were taking that class. But my second year was maybe 100 students.
What about third year?
About 50.
What about the last year?
About 30 or 30.
So like 700 people starts university and only 30 or 40 people can graduate.
Well, wait a minute. We have to also consider a lot of people only want to take 1 year because their major is another program. So computer is a popular class, right? Computer science. So a lot of people took it for 2 years because they were just interested in doing it as a small subject. Like I did first year chemistry, and I did engineering, and I did other courses too, even though my major was computer science. So I was in a big classroom with a lot of people studying chemistry, but I didn't continue, right? Yeah, but a lot of those people fail it.
I see.
Yeah, that's another major difference. In Canada, people fail. It's normal. If you can get into university easily, but finishing is more difficult. It depends on the program.
So out of this 700 students, how many of them are computer science majored?
Yeah, maybe in 1 year, about 30 or 40 will graduate.
No, but like how many people
are trying to be majors?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 100 are trying to be majors, to major in computer science.
100, and then only 30, 40 graduates.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe
That's
more than 100.
Less than half.
Yeah, less than half. Yeah. And it depends on the, so in Japan, you say like University of Tokyo is the best, right? We don't have this way of thinking in Canada. Like different universities have different specializations. Like where I went to University of Victoria has a good program or computer science program. Carleton University has a very good engineering program. McGill University has a very good law program. So if I tried to study law in University of Victoria, it might be very easy, right? But if you try to study computer science in University of Victoria, maybe then you have to try really hard, right? So it depends on the specialization of the university. Yeah. But easy to enter, difficult to get out. And no entrance exam. Also, high schools and junior high schools have no entrance exam. Yeah.
Even like private schools?
I don't know about private schools. I think I never met somebody who went to a private school. Private schools are not normal in Canada. Everybody goes to public schools.
Everybody?
Everyone. Yeah. Private schools are completely strange.
Really?
Yeah. So I've never met someone who goes to a private school.
Is that because public schools are free?
And good.
And good.
Yeah, they're free and they're good, right? Yeah.
Like in Canada, do school kids bully?
Yeah, I mean, that's everywhere in the world. There's bullies in schools, right? Because kids are mean. But that's normal. But we have a lot of campaigns against it. I think it's not as bad as Japan because this is changing the topic a little, but Japan has a culture of patience is good and complaining is bad. But in Canada and in Western countries, we don't really have that culture. If there's something you don't like, you complain. You shout. You're hey, right? I'm gonna tell the teacher, right? Like if we don't like something, we complain about it and we try to change it. So we have, protests and people come together and talk to the boss, So if a student is bullied, that student will complain to the teachers and so on. And then the teachers and the principals have to talk to the bully's family. And then usually the situation stops soon, right? Yeah. But then the education point that I was thinking about too is in junior high school and high school. So we have a Eikaiwa school in Kobe, and some of our students are junior high school and high school students. And I'm always surprised at how little free time they have. Like,
Yeah.
they wake up early, they go to school, they take their classes, and then after they have some club that they have to do.
And after they have to go to cram schools.
Well, then they come home, they do homework and eat dinner, and then go to a cram school, and then come home and they do homework again, and then go to bed. And this repeats every day. So Japanese children have no time to be children.
That might be like only some students whose parents can afford for cram school or things like that. My parents couldn't afford, or well, I guess they could, but they asked me if I want to go to cram schools, and I said hell no. And then my brother and I didn't go to cram schools at all. And then, like after school, it was all our free time.
So,
I didn't even belong to a craft activity.
but
so-
if you wanted to get into a university, you had to study for the entrance exam, right?
Yeah, but I studied by myself.
But that takes a long time, right? And to get into the high school, you had to study too in junior high school, right?
No,
You didn't have to high school entrance exam?
high school, yeah, but not for junior
Yeah,
high
so
school.
to get into high school, you needed to study hard, right? During junior high school. In your last year.
Well, no, like I wasn't really studying hard, but I chose a high school that I can get into with my level.
With your level.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are a bunch of levels of high schools.
So you weren't trying to get into a high level one.
Not really.
How about for university? Did you have to study hard to get your university entrance exam?
Not really.
I see. You might not be a good example of the Japanese students.
I don't know the percentage.
Yeah. So my image of Japanese students is that they have no free time. Like they're always studying, and they like our students even sleep like 5 hours a night. You know? Maybe that's why Japanese people are short, because they don't sleep. You need sleep to grow, right? All these students need to grow. But yeah, they don't have time to meet their friends. Like I met my friends every day when I was a kid.
Right.
From elementary school all the way to finishing university, to finishing high school. I met my friends every day after class. I went to their house, they came to my house, we spent time together. Yeah, again, I think you're not a normal Japanese person. You're a bad person to compare to.
But you know
our
what?
students
like
definitely don't.
All of my school friends
Yeah.
didn't study because they were praying with me.
So you were a bad influence.
No. That I wasn't influenced. That's what everybody did.
Here's another thing about education. Let's go to higher education. Do you know what I mean by higher education?
Like university education?
Yeah, that's right. We also call that post-secondary.
Post-secondary.
Yeah, because primary is elementary school.
Mm.
Secondary is junior high school and high school. And then post means after. Post-secondary education is like college, university, or something like that. So the first thing I want to mention is that it's not expected that people go to university in Canada.
No.
It's not expected. It's not necessary. You think about, do you want to have a white collar job? Do you want to have a blue collar job?
What is a blue collar job?
Like electrician, plumbing, gardening.
Like specialists in
Okay, so let's basically white collar is working
Desk
with your
work.
head.
Okay.
White collar is working with your brain. Blue collar is working with your body.
Like labor.
Sure. So white collar workers typically have to go to university, and blue collar workers might have to go to something we call trade school.
Trade school.
Yeah, which might only be 1 year or 2 years of education, maybe 3 years. And then another type of trade worker is a master and apprentice. So
what's apprentice?
An apprentice is like a student for one master. So one master with one student, that's master and apprentice. That's another system for blue collar work. And it's not expected, right? Like university is not for everybody. White collar jobs are not for everybody. It's not possible to have a country with only doctors and lawyers and engineers. Then, society will break.
But like, is there any what was the word? I can't come up with the word.
What does it mean?
Discrimination against the blue collar workers?
No, it's fine.
Like blue collar workers are somewhat lower class than white collar people?
I mean, some people might think that way, but it's not the standard way. Most people are just open to everybody. Yeah. So university is not necessary. If you want a kind of job that needs a university education, then you do it. But if you want to be a carpenter, you don't need to go to university, right? If you want to make, cabinets or tables or chairs, if you want to work with wood, or if you want to be a plumber, you don't need to go to university. You go to a trade school.
So does that mean like university students in Canada all have some kind of purpose or goal for their future
That's right.
jobs?
That's right. So when you're a high school student, you basically have to choose what kind of job you want to have in the future. Because if you want to be a programmer, you have to study programming. If you want to be an engineer, you have to study engineering.
So I see a big like cultural difference in that between Japan and Canada, because I think in Japan a lot of high school students have no idea what to do in the future. So like, they can't really decide what to do after high school. So they just go to university. And like during the university days, like they can figure out what they're gonna do.
So a lot of Canadians do that too. There's 2 points that are different here. One point is that before university starts, a lot of people, not a lot, some people take a year off. And they'll go travel or have fun or just relax, right? So the year off is some people do that. But another thing is some people do like I did. My first year of university was engineering. I took electrical engineering courses. That was my plan. I thought, hey, I'd like to be an engineer when I was in high school. But after 1 year of engineering courses, I thought, actually, I want to be a programmer. So I switched to programming, right? And people do that. People change programs. That's okay. And then some of the courses will fit together. Like from engineering to programming, my math courses could transfer over, right? But the engineering courses were meaningless, just credits that I didn't use. So you can change your mind. And another big difference is that not everybody finishes university in 4 years. A lot of people take 5 years. Some people take 6 years. Just for a bachelor's, for a 4-year degree, some people take 5 years or 6 years.
Is that because the subjects are really difficult, or they want to, like, break school, not break school, like have a break?
Have a break, yeah. So both. Yeah. It could be because it's difficult and they failed and they need to try again. It could be because they need to have like less classes so they have more free time to work, because they want to make money while they're going to school so they have no debt. Or it could be because they changed their major. Maybe they focused really hard on engineering and then, okay, now I'm going to focus hard on programming, right? And then maybe if the two subjects are very different, they basically lost a year and they have to try again, right? From the beginning.
Okay.
So for various reasons. And then when I was a student, many of my classmates were much older than me. My good friend whose wedding you went to in Canada, he's much older than me.
How old is he?
Well, he's not much older than me, but when I was 18, he was 26, 27, and he was starting the university. So he took a long time off before starting university.
So he's almost 10 years older than you.
Yeah. So
he doesn't look like it.
I know. So he took a long break before starting university, and that's totally normal. And he wasn't the oldest guy in the class. There was a 40-year-old guy who came back to university to refresh his knowledge, right? So
how much does it cost to get a bachelor degree in Canada?
Okay, so 16 years ago.
16 years ago. Okay.
Okay, that's the
16
first
years
point.
ago. Yeah.
16 years ago, I spent full course load, $2,000 per semester,
How much is it?
and 20万円
20万円
for one
per
semester.
times 3
No, two
times 2.
semesters in a year, because you get the fall semester is when school starts in September, and then you get the winter semester, which is the second one, and then summer semester everybody takes a holiday for 4 months, and usually people are working.
So 2 semesters.
Yeah.
And it's
So 40万円 a year.
A year.
Times-
Is that a public university? Like a national university?
We don't have public or national university. All the universities are
Private?
subsidized by the government.
All?
Yeah.
So that's basically public university,
Yeah,
right? It's
basically.
not private, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So all universities
Z-
in Canada are public university.
We don't have this idea of public or private. So they're privately owned. The owners are private. It's not owned by the government,
Okay.
but the cost is subsidized by the government.
Like how much? What percentage? Like almost.
16 years ago, it was about 50%.
Okay.
So foreign students who were visiting Canada had to pay double.
Okay. But still 80万円 a year, right?
Yeah, it's still much cheaper than other
Yeah.
countries, than our neighbor to the south.
Yeah, but like Canadian people, because they're paying taxes, things
Yeah.
like that.
But the tax doesn't support foreign students.
Right, okay.
So,
That's 40
but
万円.
that's just the school cost, right?
And what about high school and junior high school and elementary school? Are they completely free?
Yeah, they're completely free.
Completely free.
Yeah, so primary and secondary are completely free. Post-secondary is 50% subsidized. Was 16 years ago. I don't know today. So when I finished university, the total amount I spent for the cost of university was about 160万円
For 4 years?
for 4 years.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
160万円
Yeah.
For 4 years.
But
So for foreign students, that would be like 320万円.
Yeah. About.
320
But
万円
that's
for
not
foreign
including rental cost or food cost or things like that, right?
Rental, I mean apartment?
Yeah, and like I was driving to school, so I needed to pay for parking in my school, which was like 4万円 a year or something.
What about textbooks?
Well, if you're clever, you just search for them online
And download them.
and download them because they're expensive. Or you can get used textbooks, like the previous year's textbook, which you can get really cheap. So yeah, the textbooks were not a big deal. But what was I saying about the university? Right. So this is what I wanted to say too. Because university is very difficult in Canada, when you finish university and you start working in a company, the training time is really short. So maybe like a few weeks or a few days, depending on the type of company. Like if the company is very specialized, you need a few weeks. But if the company is just a standard type of company, just a few days or a few hours, right? Like a programmer who finished at University of Victoria should be able to get a job at Google or Microsoft or wherever, and then start working.
Right now.
Like after a day. Like here's your username, here's your password, this is your desk, bathroom is over here, this is the lunchroom. Start.
So no training.
If you're doing a general type of work, because the university should have trained you how to do everything. Yeah. Same thing with, most subjects. You can start working. So this is a very different cultural point. In Japanese culture, people have like months or years of training, right?
Like 6 months of training.
Yeah.
Or like in my case, the training period was like 3 months or something.
Please let's talk about your case a bit more detailed. You studied
in English. I majored in English.
You majored in English. So Kazusa's subject in university was English. But what was your first job?
I don't want to say this.
Programming.
I don't want to say this.
Programming.
Yes, that's right.
So Kazusa's first job was software programming.
Like I was supposed to be a system engineer
Yeah, system engineer.
after training.
Kazusa got a job as a system engineer, but she studied English.
You remember when I was working and when I had a difficult time with programming?
Yeah.
I called you during hey,
Yeah.
I have this error and I can't
Yeah.
solve.
Yeah.
Please teach me how to do it. Like you helped me
But-
out.
For a Canadian, it's just so confusing that a person who studied English in university can get a job programming.
Yeah, but like my boss said, like since I was majoring in English and then I know English, like programming is everything is written in English, so
It
it should be easy for me to learn programming. And then I was using VBA
Yeah,
or like
it helps.
something script, VB script or something like that.
Yeah, it helps, but it's still like
yeah, and then it was like, okay, select something and repeat or something. I
Anyways.
completely forgot, but like
Anyways.
it was like writing English.
anyways. Some of our students who work at like Mitsubishi or Kawasaki, like they studied some subject like business administration.
Or like social or something.
Yeah. And then they got a job and now they're like nuclear engineers. Like, what? But they had to do training for like 3 years. And then after 3 years of training, they had to do like a lot of really basic work. It feels very inefficient. Yeah. So, but I understand too that like Japanese, okay, wait. The reason Japanese people need such a long training time is because the universities are not teaching them anything, right? Basically don't learn anything. Have I told you the story about one of my first students when I was in Nova, that he was a University of Tokyo graduate?
I don't remember.
Okay, here's a story. This is a true story. 10 years ago, I came to Japan, and one of my first students was a 22-year-old guy, okay? He had just graduated from University of Tokyo, and he came back here, and he came back here because he wanted to look
Is
for a
that
job
University of Tokyo or University in Tokyo?
No, of Tokyo, like Tokyo University.
Okay.
I double checked because so at that time I was new in Japan. I didn't know Japanese culture, right? But everybody knows Tokyo University. I thought, wow, that's great. You must be really clever. You could finish. Isn't that the best university in Japan? And he said, yeah, University of Tokyo is the best one, number one in Japan, right? And I said, well, what did you study? And then he said, system engineering. And I thought, oh, I was a programmer in Canada. What a coincidence. Like, I can totally help you with your subject. And he said he came to study English because he wanted to get a job that's using English in the programming world, right? And I said, well, okay, let's do something like an interview then, I guess. So what languages did you learn? And then he was like, just English. And then I said, no, I mean like
computer language.
Computer language. What computer language did you learn? Did you learn C or Java or C# or like Lisp or something like that? And then he said, I think I learned Java. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did you graduate from Tokyo University or did you just enter? And he said, no, I graduated. I said, what do you mean you think Java? You're not sure? Like you should be really good at this. You went to the best university in Japan and you're not sure? And what did you do? And he said, well, I traveled a lot and I met a lot of friends and I slept a lot during my classes. I said, how did you graduate? He said, well, everybody graduates. Yeah. So that was my first experience when I came to Japan with University of Tokyo. So my image of Tokyo University now is not fantastic. Yeah. So I told him, don't try to get a job at an English company because they're going to laugh at you. You need to get a job at a Japanese company where you get 3 years of training. That's what you need. You need training because you're not a programmer, right? Like I told him when I finished, you could work right away, right? Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think like that kind of training, how can I say, like tradition?
Yeah. Culture. Let's do culture.
Yeah, culture.
Yeah. Tradition has to be like since like Meiji Jidai or
Well, I
Heian.
think it's pretty old. Like
Really?
yeah, and then like that started because Japanese people tend to work for one company throughout their lives, right?
Yeah, I think we can't say tradition because I mean before people just did what their parents did. It wasn't a company, right? Even company is something pretty new.
Well,
Let's call it culture. This training
business.
culture, yeah.
Okay, this training culture works because like Japanese people used to work only for one company throughout their lives.
Yeah, lifetime employment.
Yeah, so even the company takes a long time, like let's say 3 years, but rest of the 25 years or 30 or whatever years, like you can use your staff as a good staff, right?
So this is called an investment.
Investment.
An investment. So the company invests the time and money into the staff's training. But if the company will do that, why hire a university graduate? Hire a high school student. Right? If like let's say Mitsubishi stops.
That makes sense though.
If Mitsubishi stops hiring 22-year-old university graduates and just hires 18-year-old
then
high school
this high school student can learn everything much faster and easier. Yeah, that makes sense.
And just train them, right? Because the university is just a waste of time and money, right? They're not learning anything.
I think also Japanese people tend to just follow the trend.
Yeah.
So like if like university degree gets popular as something you get, everybody try to get the degree, and then even the companies try to hire the students who has degrees, right? It's just like following trend culture, I think.
There's one thing I have to say though, just in case I make some people unhappy. There are a few subjects that are different. So doctors in Japan do study. Doctors do study. And I think lawyers study. Like some subjects in Japan are difficult from the beginning. Very difficult. Some subjects are difficult and those people do study, and the university is not a waste of time and it's not a waste of money. But for many, many, many students, it's totally a waste of time.
Because I majored in English, but when I first met you, I couldn't speak English very well.
We weren't that bad. So I think now is going to be about the time that we have to finish because I have to go to work now.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you did,
感想を聞かせてね。感想をコメントに入れて。
That's right. Comments and then like button.
Like button, like
and subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe too. Yeah. And
better.
Yeah, the bell too. And
then let us know if you watch the video. Please
also,
tell us.
What kind of topic?
Hey, I watched your video.
What kind of topic do you want us to talk about in the future? Yeah. Say that in Japanese.
これについて喋ってほしいとか、カナダについてこのトピックが知りたいとかあったらコメントください。
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye bye.